Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Friday Live. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late today. I have had we've got a tower down, an internet tower down near where I live, and the internet's been a little bit problematic this morning, both my phone and internet. So I just had to do a bit of rejigging to get myself ready to be online. Make sure my microphone's working properly. Anyway, hello everyone. It's Fiona Lukeis here. What are we? Friday, March the 24th. Hello and welcome to all of you. I know that as I'm going live here, I want to make this clear. I'm live here on YouTube and Facebook. I go live on YouTube and Facebook simultaneously every week. Someone didn't realize that the other day, so I'm just making that really clear. So you can stream this live via YouTube, or you can stream it live via Facebook. Every week I go live here at approximately this time. I know I'm often late, guys. I'm just, stuff happens. I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have about relationships, life, anything at all. Like, throw them at me. I'm used to having questions thrown my way. I do live Q&As twice a week with my relatable students and get all sorts of curly questions thrown at me every time we jump on a chat together. So if you have a question that you'd like me to answer, please post it in the comments below. And of course, as always, I do love it if you say hi and let me know where in the world you are listening from. I certainly love to know who's listening and where you are. So certainly appreciate you saying hi. No, it takes a little while for the feed to filter through that I'm live. So I'm just going to babble a little bit just to make sure people are getting a chance to join on in. Now, I know also that you are if you're in the States or Canada, you are in daylight savings, so I'm an hour later for you guys. We'll be going back in a couple of weeks back out of daylight savings, so maybe that'll even things out again. But I know it's 9:30 at night now for those of you in the Eastern time zone. So I know it's getting a little bit late, but if you are around and you're tuning in, please do say hi. Love to know where you are. Hey, Graham. Hi, nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a little while, Graham. I hope all is well with you. Lovely. Hello, Colette. I do owe you an email, Colette. I have got your email sitting in my inbox. I just haven't had a chance to reply, but I will. If not today, I will email. It will be tomorrow, I promise. So thank you. And thank you so much for saying hi. And it's nice to know it's nice and sunny in Christchurch. It's actually pretty sunny here too, which is nice. Bit of late autumn or fall weather happening here in Melbourne. Anyone else out there want to say hi before I jump in and answer a couple of questions that have come through? And obviously, if you have a question that you would like me to answer, please post it in the comments below, and I will do my absolute best to answer that for you. I have had my my assistant has gone offline as well today, which has made things a bit tricky. So she normally sends me through the questions, but she's also been offline. So just bear with me while I was trying to find them and look and read them quickly before I jumped on before as well. Hi, Di. Oh, look, someone's saying hi from YouTube. Awesome. I love it. Hi. I do have people out there on YouTube that hear this and receive this. So much. Thanks so much for letting me know. And you're in WA. Awesome. My son is in WA for the weekend. He's terribly excited. He flew into Perth last night, and he's a massive North Melbourne fan. And apparently they're playing. Is it today? I think it's today, sometime today. So he's terribly excited about that. Hey, Roz, nice to see you, honey. Thank you so much for saying hi. I really, really appreciate it. Really nice to see you, always. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you saying hi to me. Okay, so if you've got a question, post it in the comments below. I have had a couple of questions come through to me, so I'm just going to start with those. Just give me a second. Hi, Fiona. I've really enjoyed your videos. As a chronic overthinker, overanalyzer, and fixer, it's made me step back. I'm sure there are many of us that can relate to those three things: overthinker, overanalyzer, and fixer. If I could say three things that are definitely a big part of relationship breakdowns, and this isn't anything personal about you, honey, who sent this through. This is this is in the mix somewhere, right? This is definitely in the mix. Overthinking, overanalyzing, and trying to fix. These things are terrible for relationships, okay? When we overanalyze and we overthink, Okay. We conjure up all sorts of terrifying experiences in our head. We really do. We make things look way bigger than they are. We are literally looking at a distortion. All right, when we're overthinking and overanalyzing. You cannot trust anything when you're doing that. You are literally looking at something through a magnifying glass, through a distortion. It's like standing in front of those, those funny mirrors that you can have at fetes and fairs and things, or perhaps at rodeos. We stand there and they make you look this wide or this tall, or you are looking through a distortion, and this is what people do not understand. And then it's through a distorted lens we get frightened, we get caught up in our ego, we project, we stop listening, and things go pear-shaped. Or we jump in because we're not present and we try and fix something because we're frightened. See that? If you're trying to fix something, you're fearful, right? I know it may not feel that way, but people who want to fix are generally coming from a place of fear instead of presence and calm and seeing what makes sense in that now. They're generally coming from fear. They're jumping in going, oh, I don't like this. I'm uncomfortable. Let's sort this out. Let's, right? So, and of course, all of those things, those three things, overanalyzing, overthinking, and fixing, are three things that trip so many of us all up. I've got caught up in those three. Many people have, who come to me, my relatable students, clients, whatever. There's a level of these three things going on. Okay, you've got to remember, nobody needs fixing. Nobody. What people need is to feel empowered. And when you run in and fix, what happens, and I know you're doing it because you love them, okay? I get that. I truly get your intentions are good. We all have great intentions. You're doing it because you love them. However, when you're coming from fix, what you're telling that person is, you can't work this out yourself. You need me to do it for you, okay? And so you end up inadvertently disempowering that someone. I want you to think about I want you to truly think about resilience, right? And how important it is. Like, a lot of people will say to me, what do you think the most important thing you can teach your kids is? And of course, this is just my opinion. I mean, what do I know? I'm just one person. But I, in my opinion, resilience is there, right? I want my children to be as resilient as possible, because life is hard. Life will smack you around the chops when you least expect it. Life will pull the rug out from under your feet when you just think that everything's coasting along. And so resilience is really important. Now, think about this for a second. If you've never fallen flat on your face, picked yourself up again and realized what you're capable of, where do you build resilience? How do you build it? You have to fall down, deal with the consequences of that, realize that you can actually work things out for yourself, step back up, face that thing, boom. That's how you create resilience. Now, if you're going in fixing, you are robbing someone of that opportunity. Okay? That's what creates resilience. People need to face hardship. They need to face consequences. They need to make mistakes. They need to fall down, and they need to realize that they're not going to burst into flames and that they're going to be okay. People really need that. Now, if you're doing this in a relationship, if you're in that cycle of fixing, here's what happens. You start over-functioning and someone will start under-functioning. Now, once a relationship gets into that cycle of over-functioning and under-functioning, goodwill falls through the window. People get resentful. They start arguing. They start projecting. They start shutting down. Things really go pear-shaped, okay? So over-functioning always creates under-functioning. And then the over-functioner gets really, really resentful. The under-functioner stops appreciating and also gets resentful because they feel like they can't breathe, and then chaos ensues. Okay. So I just wanted to mention that if these three things that this person has just sent into me, I see in so many relationships that aren't working: over-analyzing, overthinking, and fixing. All right. And it's something that is so widely common, okay, and something that is not understood, acknowledged, or dealt with enough. In my opinion, if someone was to come to me and they're struggling and I can see that's going on, that's the first thing I'm going to deal with. I'm not going to deal with their communication issues. I'm going to deal with that first. We're going to get that sorted, because that will lead to great communication. But if you try and work on communication and you haven't dealt with that, That's, as I've said to you before, that's building a relationship from the top down. That's like shutting the door after the dogs got out or the horses got out. It just kind of a waste of time. All right, because overthinking, over analyzing, and fixing really can undermine the foundations of any relationship. And for the person who's in that space, it's exhausting, right? It's utterly, utterly exhausting. It can feel like it sucks the very marrow out of your bones. Sorry, that's a very graphic thing to say, but truly, when I start working with a client or a new student joins Relatable and they realize that this is something that they're doing, the realization of the weight of that and what it's cost them and the price they pay for that, they start to see it, and it's like, and the great thing is when you see the price you're paying for something, it no longer makes sense to do it, which makes it very easy to change. Hardest way to create change is when something still makes sense to you, right? So, that's the wonderful thing is you start to see the price you're paying for that and you're like, that's not worth it anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want to live like that anymore because it destroys your quality of life. There isn't enough of you on offer. Okay? So you want to understand something. A chronically busy overthinking mind that's trying to fix stuff has no emotional, and has very little emotionality. There's not enough room to connect. There's no space, there's no bandwidth, okay? And so when I say there isn't much of you on offer, that's exactly what I mean. Because you're so busy-minded, you're not there. Does that make sense? People can't feel you. So it's hard to connect. And this is a beautiful thing when the chronic overthinking and the overanalyzing and the need to fix dissipates, when it falls away, when that's no longer there, you've got room, you've got space, you've got capacity, you can connect, you're patient, you're kind, you're loving, you start to feel comfortable in your own skin. It's like you start to come home to yourself. I call it waking up. Right? When our minds are really, really busy and we're overanalyzing, and overthinking and fixing, we're asleep at the wheel. We're totally disconnected. Okay? Even though it looks like we are, we're really not, because we're literally sniffing at the fumes around what's truly available on offer in a moment, right? It truly is, sniffing at the fumes is really what's on offer. And so you will find it hard to connect. You'll find it hard to let go. You will feel absolutely exhausted and overwhelmed, and you'll struggle to prioritize things, and you'll just be like bouncing. This is what I see. And I think this is a chronic problem, way more than is being acknowledged or discussed. And it creates havoc on our sorry, that's not even a word. It creates havoc on our mental health. It creates havoc on our ability to connect. It creates havoc on our ability to think, make decisions, be productive on so many levels, right? So, okay, that was just a big conversation based on the first sentence that this poor person sent through. So, but I really wanted to let you know, A, you're not alone, and B, this is a really big issue in people. Okay, so the question is, I'm on the brink of breaking up with my boyfriend of 2 years. He has kids, and I've moved my whole life, including the horse. Always love people who love horses. I'm a massive horse lover myself. I've moved my whole life, including the horse, to be with him. So for me, there's a lot at stake. And the only reason I've given okay, so he's made the decision that it's not working. All right. I don't believe it can't work, which is why I'm here. We are still in the same house and will be for a few weeks. I wanted to ask you if you thought there was a point at which a relationship between two people simply isn't going to work despite a complete mindset transformation. Well, if there's been a complete mindset transformation, chances are that relationship will work, right? Absolutely. If you know what I mean? If there's been a transformation, then the old way of relating is off the table. You've created a new normal together, and you can absolutely change things. Essentially, he's told me he still loves me, but he's worried about the future. At what point do I bow out? Well, I think you need to get a little more curious here, right? What does he mean by it's not working? In his mind, what does that mean to him? It's not working. And you've got to be calm and curious. You can't rush in, panicked, with a sense of urgency, like, what do you mean it's not working? What? You can't do that, right? Because people just stop talking. It's too much. It's too. Can you feel it? It's like a tidal wave of energy, and people can become like a deer in the headlight. I should know because I used to do this to my husband. Okay, so you want to check in on yourself. Are you calm with him? Are you present? Are you asking these questions from a calm, present state of mind? This is terribly, terribly, terribly important. Often people ask these questions from a really busy, overstimulated frame of mind, and the other person shuts down because it's just overwhelming, right? We often overwhelm people and we don't even realize we're doing it. This is why you've got to know how you're showing up, right? You've got to know how you're showing up. This is so important. It's people's biggest absolute blind spot in life. They've got no idea of how they're showing up, and they don't realize the flavor that they're bringing and how it impacts everyone around them. If this is not one of the biggest aha moments or insights people get when we work together, it truly is. It's like, I had no idea I was doing that. I had no idea I was bringing that. I had no idea that was my energy. I had no idea that was my flavor. And so all of a sudden, when they see that, choices and options are available that were never available to them before. Okay, so you can't approach this from a really busy, flat out, fix it mind. And if that's how you're approaching it, I dare say he's probably shutting down, getting quiet, and because he's struggling to connect with you potentially. I mean, look, I don't know the ins and outs of this, but you know what I mean. Essentially, he's told me he loves me, but he's worried about the future. All right. So what does he mean? What is it about the future that worries him? These are some of the things that you've got to get, and you can't badger him about it. Does that make sense? You can just say, hey, I'd love to have a chat with you. I'd love to have a chat with you about, what you mean by that. Are you up for that? Can we talk about it? But you can't come in like a raging, what do you mean by that? You always like, can you just, I want you to see, like, nobody copes with that, right? That just shuts people down or triggers people. You've got to know how you're showing up. So, if you're coming at this loaded with a ton of energy and a whole heap on it, then he'll probably be struggling to connect with you. And if he's struggling to connect with you, then he's going to struggle. He's going to worry about the future. I'm going to guess. All right. I could be wrong because I'm only reading a paragraph here. Okay. But just based on what I've seen and what tend to be commonalities in the things that show up with my clients and my students, I'm going to take a guess that that's what's going on. So, you're at this point, and this is what I find is interesting, right? Essentially, he's told me he loves me, but he's worried about the future. At what point do I bow out? Do I try to send him your work and offer him the space to do his own discovery? I've spent months and months initiating conversations because he has withdrawn. Can you imagine? I want you to imagine, and please, honey, listen to this with the spirit in which I'm telling you. If you've spent months and months and months pushing from an overthinking, overstimulated spot, right? He's going to see you coming from a mile away and go, OMG. And he's going to want to run for the hills. Can you see that? And so you've created a connection now where he just looks at you and just feels overwhelmed. He just looks at you and goes, oh God, she's going to analyze me. Oh God, she's going to ask me a million questions. I can't deal with this, right? That destroys goodwill. So in other words, he sees you coming, he doesn't feel good, and he disappears. And yet you're the one who thinks he needs to go and do some work. Please hear me when I say this. I'm saying this out of love for you, kindness. I'm not saying this isn't a criticism, but the amount of people that come to me and say, how do you fix the other person? Okay. How do I get the other person to do your thing, Fiona? How do I get them to do it? Like, this is where people start. You have to start with you. It always starts with you. Always, 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 always. That's where the power comes from, right? It has to start with you. And this is just an example of us not being able to see how we're showing up and the impact we're having. If you're not finding that out first, that's always got to be your port of call. Do you want to know why? Number one, it's going to help you get your power back. The minute you're waiting for someone else to change or fix themselves or go get help or do something, you're completely disempowered because it's all about them changing and fixing. And you're at the mercy of them. Can you see that? There's no power for you. It's very disempowering. When you start with you, right, you're going to learn some really cool stuff. You're going to feel empowered. You're going to have choices around the way that you show up, the types of conversations that you have. You're going to be a lot more aware of what you're bringing to a conversation. This is very good stuff because 99% of the time, that's where the answer to most things lie. Okay? What most people do not have the ability to do is look inside of themselves in a practical way. I'm not being all woo-woo here, in a practical way where they actually understand what's going on in that moment. They understand what they're bringing to the table. They understand what they're creating and influencing. Most people go into conversations with absolutely no awareness of that. None. And so they can't understand why people shut down or withdraw or disappear, right? And so they feel totally disempowered. It's always got to start with you. All right. So if you're sitting here watching this going, how can I get my husband to do this? How can I get my sister to do this? How can I get my son to do this? The question I'm going to say to you is, why aren't you doing it? Right? Starts with you. Even if you think you're all good, believe you me, right? Some of you have heard me say this before, and I'm laughing at my own arrogance. And but I'd done lots of personal development work before I came across what I teach and what I've been a teacher of now for many years, right? And I arrogantly thought, and I do see this, you can develop a sense of personal development arrogance, right? And I absolutely ticked every box when it came to that, which is, I've studied all these courses. I've invested in myself. I'm good. I'm good. I've got this stuff sorted. I've worked on myself. I'm good. You are the one who needs to work on yourself, right? And I laugh because I was so arrogant and so loaded, and I completely missed the point. Okay, totally missed the point. I still had, after doing all of those programs and courses, I still had very little to no awareness of myself. I had lots of awareness around personality types, communication styles, rapport, my past, changing my thinking. I had lots of awareness around all of that really interesting stuff. The core needs of a human being, masculine and feminine energy. Like, I had lots of awareness around that stuff, but none of those things gave me awareness of me. And that's a massive, 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 massive piece of the puzzle. The biggest, actually. Okay. So, my recommendation to this person, and it's an awesome question because it's created great discussion here, is start with you. Okay? Even if you don't think you have anything to do, I tell you, you will find things about yourself that will blow your mind in a good way. In a good way. Okay? I think the wonderful thing about what I teach is you learn things about yourself and you're excited by it, rather than, oh God, I'm a terrible person. Oh no, I've done this. Now there's this thing. Now there's that thing, which is definitely how I used to feel doing a lot of personal development. I'd find something, I go, oh, another thing to fix. Oh, another thing that I'm not doing right. Oh, another thing I've got to work on. When does it end, right? I don't feel like that at all. I have an insight about myself and I'm excited because I'm like, wow, now I have choice around something I never had choice around before. Okay, I'm just gonna check in and see whether this is making sense to you guys. Hey Jen, oh my goodness, Jennifer Ma, hello darling. Haven't seen you for yonks. Hello, nice to have you on the live, and you're listening from YouTube. Beautiful. Thanks for saying hi. So lovely to see you, Jen. Hi Sandy, thank you for saying hi. So nice to see you, honey. And Sharon, hello Sharon. Hope all is well. Hey Mick, my pleasure. There's a much deeper conversation about that on Wednesday's call. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but yes, on the relatable call, I went into a big conversation about opinions versus truth. We had a big chat about that on Wednesday night. Your explanation on how can you get someone to look at your teachings without being loaded. Forget about my question. I think you've just answered it. Okay, cool. No worries, Mick. Di, so far, everything you said this morning has been an aha moment for me. Okay, awesome. Great. Love to hear that. I'm so glad. Colette, hey, I packed my suitcase many times and had my foot out the door thinking the only way out of a difficult, troubled relationship was to leave. Someone asked me yesterday what changed to make our relationship the beautiful, connected one it is now. All I could say was me and me alone after starting Relatable. He's done absolutely nothing but has changed irrespective. Now we're getting married in August. I so love that. That's awesome, Colette. I know that your story is amazing, honey. It truly is. How long ago did you join Relatable, Colette? Was it early this year or was it late last year? I can't remember now. And I remember you saying you guys were engaged and you were really kind of thinking, no, you weren't engaged. I beg your pardon. You weren't engaged. But I remember you coming on a call saying, because of what I've learned, he's just asked me to marry him and we're now engaged, which I thought was amazing. And the change has just been incredible. It's an amazing story. Hey, Rose. Yoga retreat. Oh, you lucky thing. I'd love to be on a yoga retreat in Mexico. Doesn't that sound great? Hey, Brian. Thank you. Sandy, totally making sense. I'm over functioning. He's under functioning. Love it. Love it. Yeah, okay. Colette, early this year. Right. So we're still in the early part of the year. So Colette joined my Relatable program and she was not engaged and, feeling very disconnected, ready to walk out the door. And where are we? We're in March, total turnaround. The relationship's beautifully connected. They're engaged and getting married. I just want you to know, truly, when you change, I'm going to get emotional right now because I've seen so many stories like this with my students and I get so emotional because I think of all the ripple effects that are going on. When you change, and it's not change where you change who you are, you still get to be you, but you do it in a kinder, more understanding, patient fashion. All right. You're you, but just nicer, I guess, is a way of saying it. Because honestly, guys, we really do. Without knowing it, we can be so arrogant and dismissive and cutting and judgmental, and we do it with the people that we love. I'm about to do a podcast episode. I've got a number in post-production. It's been a while. I know it's been a while, but I just haven't had the bandwidth. But I'm about to do one, an episode around the fact that so many people give the best of themselves to their colleagues and the worst of themselves to their family. The people they love the most, they give the worst to, and the best they give to their work colleagues. This is so common, right? And then they wonder why goodwill's not so great. They wonder why their sex life is in the toilet. They wonder why their partner isn't talking to them. They wonder why it doesn't feel good to go home. Often it's because we are not bringing our best self, right? We're not being kind. We're not being compassionate. We're not being understanding. We're being emotionally unintelligent. We're not listening. We're not present. You start doing those things to another human being, and my God, the difference is unbelievable. Okay? Unbelievable. Night and day. And I've got hundreds of stories like Colette's. Okay? Hundreds. My own story is that I was so arrogant and self-righteous and a know-it-all, right? To my poor husband, right? I felt like he had to change. And then I thank God I came across this and I got the opportunity to truly change the way I'd always wanted to. And we're closer than we've ever been. And, if you told me that I would feel this way, I would have been skeptical. I wouldn't have believed you because I was 100% convinced I was married to the wrong person. I was 100% convinced. Okay. And my husband has not changed. I mean, he has, in the sense that there's so much goodwill that we bring out the best in each other. And I love the best of my husband. It's awesome, right? And that's more what we get to engage with all the time. There's a lot more lightheartedness and playfulness and fun. It was all a bit heavy and serious before, and we're always on the brink of a fight, and we're always walking around each other on eggshells and, all of that stuff. Doesn't feel good. One person can make a change. Rose is another one, right? Oh, there you go. Oh, Rose, someone committed on my relationship with Mike yesterday. Yeah, absolutely, right? Rose has done my Relatable program. And the difference in your relation, hang on, is something. Sorry, I think someone's turned the machinery on, just shutting that. Rose, you've talked about the difference between you and Mike, and people are noticing it. They're like, wow, you guys are so close, right? One person can make a change. It's just that we're often looking in the wrong direction, okay, for the answer. We're looking in the wrong direction. And generally, we're looking out here and we're saying to the other person, you need to go fix yourself. I'm all good. This is what most people do, okay? I know not everybody, there's going to be exceptions to what I'm saying, but this is what most people do. And then most people, and I get that it can be scary, but the lovely thing about what I teach is it's not confronting. You're not You're not psychoanalyzing yourself. You're just learning a beautiful understanding about how people work. And from there, it becomes so much easier just to show up from this calm, present, compassionate, understanding place. Like, this is what we all want. We all want to feel accepted, right? We all want to feel loved. We all want to know when the worst of me comes out, and everyone's got a worst side, right? Everybody, that's just humans. Everyone's got a part of them that's not, they've got what I call their frailties. We all want to know when our frailties come out that the other person's going to love me, right? Because that's our biggest fear, right? If you really see that part of me, will you still love me? Now, if you keep, what's the word, reiterating to that person, you know what, when that side comes out, I can't love you, then that side's going to come out more because that person's going to feel insecure and unsure, right? See that? They're going to be coming from fear. And so when we come from fear, the worst of us comes out. It just does. You start bringing something else to the table, that person will blossom. When people blossom, they're beautiful, right? Beautiful. It's beautiful to be around. It's a joy to be around. And to know that you have played a role in helping someone blossom, like, who would not want that? I don't understand what holds people back. It just makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? If I know that I could help the people around me blossom, I would just do whatever I could. No brainer. No brainer. To me, that's more important than renovating my bathroom or my kitchen or a new car or a holiday or anything, right? That's as good as it gets. That's the complete pinnacle for me. If I can be that, if I can do that to the people I care about, like, man, like, that's the greatest thing on earth, right? And people and ah over this stuff. They overthink it. They think they can work it out themselves. They go back and they put up with stuff, and it makes no sense to me. The answer's right in front of you. It's up to you if you want to take it. Hey, Karen. Hi. Oh my God, there's so many awesome people on the call today. So lovely. People are saying hi. I love it. So true. So nice to see you, honey. Our eggshells are completely gone in the bin, Colette. Awesome. That's it. Isn't that a good feeling? No more eggshells. When one person sees how to dance, it's truly amazing how many people end up joining the dance. It's so true. It's very contagious. It really is. It's like compound interest. It grows and grows and grows on top of itself without you having to do anything. It just gets better and better. Okay, everybody. I know I've gone on a bit of a rant today. I do that sometimes. I hope this has been helpful to you who've been listening in. Please know that everything I share with the genuine interest of wanting to serve and help. Okay, I truly believe that the more people who do relationships well, it will truly change the world. I do. I really believe that. I think this is where the rubber meets the road when it comes to life and how we do it, right? How we are in our relationship is where rubber meets the road. People who do it well create amazing ripple effects. Truly, they do. One person can create generational change. Yes, they can. Generational change. All right. And ripple effects that go places you can't imagine. This is what it's all about, guys. If you want to know more about my program Relatable, if you want to have a chat to me about it, you can always book a time to have a chat with me. I'll put a link to that below. More than happy to have a chat with you and talk you through it. If you've got any questions, or if you have a question, ask it here. There's always people on these things, my Relatable students that'll answer things for you. Okay. All right, everyone. I will be here next Friday at 12:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I have a feeling that might be our last daylight savings before we go into winter time. But sending you all lots of love. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Ciao. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Brian.